Hello everyone, Catweazle here. Welcome to the channel and welcome back to a brand new playthrough of Eldritch Horror. Yes, well, it's not brand new, is it? We've played it umpteen times on the channel, but we're going to play it again because we always revisit great games on this channel. Speaking though of Eldritch Horror and it being a great game, just a quick aside, pop across to JPlay's channel, Marcus, and he's also currently doing a playthrough of Eldritch Horror over on his channel, and he's going great guns. As of this recording, I think he's 2 episodes in, and he's cracking on. He's a lot quicker than I am. He does 2 or 3 turns an episode, whereas I just do 1, and he doesn't witter on as much as I do. He actually just gets on with it, and he's doing a great job. Pop across, support his channel if you aren't already. You may already be watching it. And yes, he's doing a great job over there. I'll put a link in the description below if you haven't seen his channel before. Well worth going across, plays plenty of games. He's a great, great guy. Check him out. All right, back to our channel. Yes, here we are, Catweazle's channel, and we are playing Eldritch Horror as well. I'm going to do a couple of things differently for this playthrough, mainly regarding setup. I'm not going to do an hour and a half setup. If you want to see a full setup of the game, then see one of my previous playthroughs where I go through it in massive detail and it takes me about an hour and a half. I've done most of the setup already, and as you can see, it's all laid out before you here, and hopefully it will just save a bit of time. Okay, so the setup and where we're up to. We already have the game board. That's the first thing that you do. We will not be using any of the sideboards, so it's just the main board, and we've set that up. After that, we organise all of the tokens. That's already done, so no need to worry about that. We choose and place our investigators, and I've chosen 4 investigators as normal, and we'll just go from top to bottom. We've got Finn Edwards, the bootlegger. Now, I've chosen him because he's a bootlegger, so he hangs around in woods a lot making moonshine. And seeing as we've got Shub-Niggurath, the black goat of the woods, as our ancient one, that seemed to make sense to me, so I picked Finn Edwards. We've also picked Jenny Barnes. She is closely identified with Shub-Niggurath and the Black Goat of the Woods because of her sister. Her sister gets sort of kidnapped by Shub's cultists, and this happens in Arkham Horror, and it's just one of the things through the game that she's associated with the Black Goat of the Woods, so we had to have Jenny. So she's here on Space 8. We've also got Diana Stanley. She's a redeemed cultist, so that's why I picked her, and she starts on Panama down there. And we've also got Leo Anderson, who's here at Buenos Aires. Leo Anderson, he's an expedition leader, so he's always going into the back of Beyond, and because Shub-Niggurath has a lot to do with wilderness spaces, that's why we picked him. So we've got a thematic set of investigators, and we've got 2 gentlemen and 2 ladies, which is just the way it should be. So we've picked our investigators. I'll go through those in greater detail in a bit. Again, I've done something slightly different so we can do it a bit quicker, but they're all set up and ready to go. After you've chosen your investigators, they receive their starting possessions, health and sanity. I've done all that, and we can just move on to the next step, which is determining the Ancient One. Well, we already knew who the Ancient One was. I did a coming soon video. We picked him out. We did a vote. So, and Shub-Niggurath, she came out on top. She is the Black Goat of the Woods. And now I'm going to use a bit of technical wizardry while I read this. Okay, so you should see something come up on screen if my editing works, and it means that you can read along while I read along. So Shub-Niggurath's got a doom of 13, and we've already put the doom marker at 13 up there, so that's already done. Cultists. The cultists have a toughness of 1. There is no sanity test for cultists. And if you do a combat check, though, it's a strength -1 test, and you can lose a single health when you fight them. Now, they've got a reckoning, and when there's a reckoning, they will spawn a goat spawn monster or a dart young on the space that they are on. If that happens, then the cultist is discarded. So the cultist either turns into a goat spawn or turns into a dart young. You get the picture. As far as the setup goes, we set aside 2 ghoul monsters. I've done that. 2 goat spawn monsters. I've done that as well. And 1 dart young monster. He too is set aside. The Mythos deck has been set up, but as I'll just quickly go through it, stage 1 is a single green, 2 yellow and 1 blue. Stage 2 is 3 green, 2 yellow and 1 blue. And stage 3 is 2 green, 4 yellow and no blue. That's all been set up. That's over here. This time, I just couldn't be bothered sorting them out or, making the deck thematic or, progressively easier and going harder, any of that. So we could get absolutely anything in there. I've got no idea. So it could be all tentacles for all I know. So that is our Mythos deck already done. Let's read about Shub-Niggurath, the Black Goat of the Woods. On a reckoning, we will spawn 1 monster on a random space. Then, if there are 10 or more monsters on the game board, we advance Doom by 2. So all about monsters is Shub. When 3 mysteries have been solved, investigators will win the game. So pretty normal there. That's what happens with most of the ancient ones. Not all of them, but most of them. Solve 3 mysteries, you win. When Shub-Niggurath awakens, flip this sheet and resolve the Shub-Niggurath Awakens effect on the back. Well, we'll do that as and when it happens. I have got the Shub-Niggurath epic monster out just in case that does happen. And we've got a bit of flavour text. During pagan rites, Shub-Niggurath absorbs worthy cultists into her amorphous body and transforms them into gof'nn Shub-Niggurath, the goat spawn. From the wildest corners of the earth, her primal brood, the dark young, emerge to overwhelm humanity. So that's Shub-Niggurath. We'll look at the back such time that we have to flip it over. So we've got our ancient one, and with that I also picked a prelude, and the prelude, again, hopefully with the wonders of technical wizardry, you'll be able to read this up on the screen while I get this close to me so I can actually read it. The reason I'm doing this new sort of editing technique is my eyes are appalling and I'm just sick to death of looking through the camera to try and read them. So hopefully it'll be a bit clearer for you because it won't be shaking around as much either. But let's get back to the prelude. Twin blasphemies of the Black Goat. The twin blasphemies of Shub-Niggurath will prepare the world for their mother's reign. During step 5 of the setup, determine the ancient one, which we've just gone through there. Set aside 2 ghoul monsters. Already done that. When we get to step 9, we're not quite there yet, but when we do, we resolve the starting effects. And if Shub-Niggurath is the ancient one, and she is, search the mystery deck for spawn of Shub-Niggurath mystery instead of drawing a random mystery. I've done that, it's here. But just to let you know, there is no spawn of Shub-Niggurath mystery. It's a typo. Good old FFG and their cards. Yes, the only one that's in there is spawn of the Black Goat. So if you're looking through Shub-Niggurath's mysteries, trying to find the spawn of Shub-Niggurath, you're not going to find it. What they meant was the spawn of the Black Goat. So that's the one that you should be looking for. After resolving setup, each investigator improves strength and will. I've already done that, and I'll go through that when I go through the investigators in more detail. If playing with the Forsaken Lore expansion, and we are, spawn the Yeb epic monster on the Amazon. We have done that. It's here. So Yeb is there. We'll go through Yeb such time as we have to fight Yeb, which we will have to do at some point or other. Then if Shub-Niggurath is not the Ancient One, well, she is, so we'll ignore that bit about Nug. During this game, the Nug and Yeb epic monsters each have a toughness equal to the number of investigators plus 4, so that is 8 toughness. 8. 16 toughness altogether. So we're going to have fun with these guys. While resolving the Nug epic monster's reckoning effect, if a ghoul monster cannot be spawned, investigators will lose the game. So the quicker we get rid of Nug, the better. So there we are. That's the prelude. Just thought I'd mention that because we were determining the Ancient One. I've created the monster cup. It's here. You've seen it before, and it's chock full of those bad boys. Look at them in there. So pop that over here. That's done. Then what we do is we separate and place all of our decks. Done all that. All of the location decks, the Otherworld deck, the Expedition deck, the Condition decks, the Spell decks, the Artifact decks, the Asset decks. It's all the kit and caboodle. It's all done. Don't worry about it. Then what we do is we build our Mythos deck. As I mentioned, that's already been done. There it is. So we'll take that away. It's been done. And we shall move that off to one side and we'll have fun with that later like we always do. That's why we call it the Laugh and the Chuckle deck. All right, so we've done the Mythos deck. We've got to resolve the starting effects. So that's just off the icon reference card here. So we've got 4 investigators. We had to spawn a gate. We have. We spawned the Himalayas, which is here. Because we spawned a gate, we had to spawn a monster. And we spawned a skeleton. So that is a skeleton there. We'll look at him in more detail as and when we come to fighting him. So there's a skeleton at the gate at the Himalayas. Then we spawned 2 clues. I spawned one for space 12 down here and another one for space 16 up here in Russia. Excellent stuff. Having done that, we place the Doom token on the space on the Doom track. Already showing you that, it's on space 13. We've placed the Omen token on the Green Comet. That's up there. So that's ready to go as well. Placed the top 4 cards from the Asset deck down here. And again, with some technical wizardry, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read these, but you're going to be able to see them as I'm going to put them up on the screen for you. All right, let's grab these and I'll go through them one at a time. So the first one I picked out was a Grizzly Totem, which costs 3. It's a trinket and it's magical. You can gain 1 strength and 1 will, so amazing. Once per round, you may re-roll 1 die when resolving a test. This is a really good one. In fact, I picked really well on all of these. The next one I picked was the Willful Aristocrat. It's an ally. You gain +1 influence and +1 will. You may re-roll 1 die when resolving an influence or a will test. So he's really good as well. We'll put him back down there. Then I picked the best one of the lot, the double-barreled shotgun. And we're going to need it, especially with Yeb and Nug on the board. So this is an item, it's a weapon. Gain +4 strength during combat encounters. Each 6 you roll when resolving a strength test during a combat encounter counts as 2 successes. So this is brilliant. Just the sort of weapon we wanted to pull out. Pop that there. And finally, we got another ally, the Museum Director, cost of 4. When you gain this card from the deck or reserve, gain an artifact. So again, fantastic. Just the sort of guy we need. Roll 1 additional die when resolving a will test during a combat encounter. So did really well picking those bad boys out. And hopefully, with Jenny Barnes on the team, we'll be able to pick those up. We've placed the active expedition on Tunguska. You can just see it up here. That was, I shuffled the deck, cut the deck, and Tunguska was at the top. So that's where the expedition token is. Oh yes, the mystery card. Now the prelude told us which mystery card that we had to pick. So yes, we have got the spawn of the black goat. Not the spawn of Shub-Niggurath, because there's no such mystery, but the spawn of the black goat. And again, through the wonders of editing, you should be able to read this on the screen. Spawn of the black goat. Shub-Niggurath's twin blasphemies will prepare the world for the black goat, destroying any potential challenge to their mother's reign. One of the pair, Nug, has begun its dreadful task. When this card enters play, spawn the Nug epic monster on the Amazon. We have done. So he's joined his sibling, I suppose. Not sure whether they're male or female. Not sure whether it's brother and sister, brother and brother, sister and sister. Let's just call them siblings. And at the end of the Mythos phase, if the Nug epic monster has been defeated, solve this mystery. So we've got to crack on with killing it. And it's good to kill it anyway. Why? Because we like killing monsters. But it also means we can't lose on that ghoul thing. You know, like when we can't generate a ghoul, then it means we've lost the game. So that is the spawn of the black goat mystery. This is a bit of a combo. Shub-Niggurath and the twin blasphemies of the black goat. It's a monster fest. And there's not many Eldritch horror games where you start with two epic monsters on the board. Yeb came in because prelude we had Shub-Niggurath, and then because we used spawn of the black goat, we got Nug as well. And that also means that we've got these guys. Now, we had to spawn two monsters as well as Yeb, because it's got this spawn on here. The two monsters that I spawned were a hunting horror, which is always nice, and a cultist. Very lucky in actually getting the cultist. That actually may help us because we have Diana Stanley. So I was glad that I pulled the cultist out. So for Yeb, we got the hunting horror and the cultist. Nug, as has been mentioned, spawn a ghoul monster on this space during a reckoning. Oh, it's during a reckoning we do that. So actually, we don't get the ghoul monster because we haven't had a reckoning yet. I read it incorrectly. There you go. So we still have two ghoul monsters off to one side, which is good, actually. Yes, I thought the ghoul came out immediately with when I placed him, but no. Thankfully, we've got away with that. So we've only got two monsters on the Amazon with two epic monsters on the Amazon. Dead easy now, isn't it? So there we go. Oh, there's the old clue bag. That one's for Brian. Cthulhu clue bag, mate. There you go. We'll pop that over there. Yes, as regards to clues, took out all the clues for the Dreamlands and, you know, the Egypt sideboard and Mountains of Madness sideboard. All the sideboard ones have been taken out, so that's been sorted. All right, so I think that is it as regards setup. We will now go through the investigators in a bit more detail. As mentioned, going to do that a little bit quicker, and I've done that sort of away from here on my PC, so there may be a slight change in the audio quality, but you should still be able to hear me. And I'll go through all of our investigators, all of their starting positions, and then we'll come back here and we'll have a few final words, and that'll be it for this episode. Let's have a look at our investigators.
And here we are with Jenny Barnes, the dilettante. She's on the Caribbean at Space 8. She has a health of 7 and a sanity of 5. As regards her skills, she has 1 law, 4 influence, 2 observation, 4 strength, and 4 will. Both strength and will have a bonus because of the prelude twin blasphemies of the black goat, so they have a +1. They would normally both be at 3, but we've got a bonus. Brilliant. Her special abilities: first of all, as an action, you or another investigator on a city space may perform an acquire assets action and gain +2 influence during that action. That's great. Also, as a passive, once per round, when you or another investigator gains a deck condition, that investigator may discard that condition. That is absolutely huge. My sister was taken. I will pay any amount to save her. You may well have to do that, Jenny, old girl. So, she was born to wealth and privilege. Jenny has spent most of her young life in fashionable nightclubs around the world, but her life of decadence came to an abrupt halt when she received an ominous letter from her sister Isabel. In the letter, Isabel reported being followed by mysterious men wearing hoods and robes. When Jenny investigated, she learned that her sister had been kidnapped to an island in the Caribbean. Jenny will use her wealth and international connections to find Isabel and punish the men who took her. And this leads into her personal story, the search for Isabel. Izzy is a smart girl. She is okay. At least that is what you keep telling yourself. Still, you have to find her, and fast. When you gain this card, place 3 random clues face up on this card. I've already picked those clues. They're for space 1, space 6 and Buenos Aires. After resolving an encounter on one of these spaces, discard that clue. Then, if there are no clues on this card, discard this card and gain the Isabel reward. However, if we can't do that and Doom advances to 6 or lower, we discard the card and we gain the too late consequence. So, if we gain the Isabel reward, then when we get that card, we can improve observation and will. Also, when another investigator accepts a bank loan as part of an acquire assets action, that investigator adds 1 additional success to the test result. However, if we get the consequence card, when we gain that card, we impair influence and will. Our maximum health and sanity are reduced by 1, so that's pretty nasty. Her starting assets, well, she's got a 0.25 automatic, which means she can roll 1 additional die when resolving a strength test during a combat encounter. She's also got the fine jewellery trinket asset, so she can add 1 to the result of 1 die when performing an influence test during an acquire assets action. And in addition to both of those, she also has a ship ticket. So that is the lovely Jenny Barnes. Next, we will move on to Leo Anderson, the expedition leader. And here we are with Leo Anderson, the expedition leader. He is in Buenos Aires. He has a health of 6 and a sanity of 6. As regards his skills, he has 2 law, 2 influence, 3 observation, 4 strength and 4 will. Just like Jenny Barnes, his strength and will have a bonus of 1 thanks to the prelude. His special abilities: as an action, he can test influence. If he passes, he gains an ally asset of his choice from the reserve or the discard pile. Brilliant. As a passive, if you are on a wilderness space, investigators on your space roll 1 additional die when resolving tests. So that's pretty good. Pretty situational, but good. His flavour text: keep moving, you can die on your own time. So good old Leo's a bag of laughs. Leo has spent his whole life getting into the deadliest and most obscure corners of the globe. Along the way, he's lost good people. Fever takes some, others are claimed by wild beasts. After a recent disastrous venture to the Yucatan, Leo barely made it back to Buenos Aires alive. He's sick of burying the people who trusted him. But the job's not done yet. The world is in danger, and crying in his drink won't fix that. He's picked up a little hired help, and in the morning he'll head back out into the wild. That leads into his personal story, which is the expedition. You are a born leader, but this upcoming expedition is going to be one of the toughest of them all. You have to gather the right connections, the right muscle, the right talent, the right specialist. Everyone has to be the best. Any less and the world is doomed. So when he has 5 or more ally assets, we can discard this card and gain the full party reward. However, when another investigator is defeated or devoured, we've got to discard the card and gain the all your fault consequence. So if he gets the reward, when he gains the card, gains 1 character unique asset. He cannot discard your ally assets unless he chooses to, which is great. So no matter what card comes out, if he doesn't choose to get rid of his allies, even if it tells him to, he can ignore it. If we get the consequence, however, he will roll 1 fewer die when resolving an influence or a will test, and his maximum health and sanity are reduced by 1, which is bad. He's only got 1 starting asset, that's his hired muscle ally. He gains +1 strength, and he may re-roll 1 die when resolving a strength test. So that's it for Leo, and what we'll do now is we'll move on to Diana Stanley. And here we are with Diana Stanley, the Redeemed Cultist. She starts in Central America at space 7. She has 7 health and 5 sanity. Her skills: 4 law, 2 influence, 3 observation, 4 strength and 2 will. Again, strength and will have a bonus due to the prelude. Her special abilities: as an action, if there is a cultist monster on your space, discard all monsters on your space or move the cultist monster to any other space. That is huge. Also, as a passive, she can reduce the horror of monsters that she encounters to 1. Again, huge, especially given her low will score. The Lodge is not as innocent as they pretend. I have learned that nothing is ever as it seems, myself included. When Diana was initiated into the Order of the Silver Twilight, she believed it to be nothing more than a community organisation. Come on, Diana, come on! But as she has learned more of its true nature, she has become convinced that a growing evil threatens the world and that the Silver Twilight will play a role in that threat. She believes her best chance to prevent this is to use her position to sabotage the organisation from within. Carl Sanford, the head of the Order, has recognised her skills and recently sent her to Panama for additional training. This leads into her personal story, which is bound by the past. To atone for things you have done, to free yourself from the shackles of your own making. But can you truly escape what you were? So, when she discards a monster as part of her action ability, may place that monster onto this card. Then, if the total toughness of monsters on that card is 8 or greater, we can discard the card and gain the redeemed reward. However, at the end of the encounter phase, if there are 3 or more cultist monsters on the game board, discard the card and we gain the one of us consequence. So if we get the reward, when we gain the card, we can retreat Doom by 1, amazing, once per round during the action phase and gain 1 focus. That's just fantastic. The consequence, however, when you gain this card, advance Doom by 1. Roll 1 fewer die when resolving a test during a combat encounter or an otherworld encounter. So want to avoid that if we can. Her starting assets: so she has an Arcane Manuscripts item tome. She gains +1 law when resolving spell effects, and she also has a wither spell. When resolving a combat encounter, she may test law. If she passes, we gain +3 strength during that encounter, and then we flip the card like we do with all spells. Okay, so that's Diana. Next up, we have the bootlegger, Finn Edwards. And here he is, Finn Edwards, the bootlegger. He starts on the American Metropolis, which is Space 5. He has 6 health and 6 sanity. As regards skills, he has 2 law, 3 influence, 3 observation, 3 strength and 4 will. Just like everybody else, strength and will has received a bonus due to the prelude. His special abilities. As an action, he or another investigator on his space may move 1 space along a ship or a train path. As a passive, effects cannot cause him to discard your item, trinket or ally possessions unless he chooses to. Never lose track of the exit or the merchandise. Finn was making a good living, running liquor from Canada to cities all along the east coast. He never got caught and never lost a delivery. Now he has taken a job in Chicago and gave his word that he could get it done. This time it won't be alcohol he's delivering, and it won't be the local sheriff trying to catch him. Finn's caught up in some supernatural conspiracy, but in the end he adheres to the same principles. Deliver the goods, don't get caught. That leads into his personal story, which is, don't get caught. You are the best around. You know it, the cops know it, but that infamy comes with a price. You know they are watching you, just waiting for you to slip up. When you flip a courier run unique asset, place 1 random clue face up on the card. After resolving a location encounter on that space, discard this card and gain the Notorious Smuggler reward. However, if he doesn't manage to do that, if he gains a detained or a wanted condition, he discards the card, but he gains the known criminal consequence. So if he gets the reward, that means after resolving his action ability, either him or another investigator may perform an additional trade or travel action. If he gets the consequence, he cannot perform the acquire assets action or the prepare for travel action, so that'll really hamstring him. So let's try and get the reward on that one. As regard his starting items, he has a cat burglar ally. As an action, roll 1 die. On a 5 or a 6, gain 1 item or trinket asset from the reserve. On a 1, unfortunately he has to discard the card. And he also has a courier run unique asset. When you gain this card from the deck, place 1 random clue that corresponds to a city space face up on the card. He has got Shanghai. After resolving a location encounter on that space, then we flip the card. Alright, so that's it for Finn Edwards, and that's it for all of our investigators. Let's get on with the setup.
And here we are at the player tray of our first investigator, who's going to be Jenny Barnes, and that's why she's got this guy sat next to her. She's first investigator. Because of the player tray, that is why I did the investigators on the PC. It's just a lot easier. Otherwise, I'd be taking this out, flipping it over, and all the rest of that rubbish. So it was just quicker to do it on the PC. Let me know what you think about the new introduction and setup way of doing things. Doesn't mean I'm going to change it, but by all means, let me know what you think. And I think it's a lot quicker. It's a lot quicker, and yes, we're not going to have an hour and a half episode. It's probably nearest 40 minutes, and that's what I'm going for. When we start each action phase for each episode, as usual, we'll just have the play trays, and we'll crack on from there. So Jenny's here. She's ready for episode 1. I hope that you are, because we're going to leave it here until we do episode 1. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the subscriptions, for all the likes and the dislikes. You're still watching. And if you've noticed any omissions or any errors that I've made, give me a shout and I will try and correct them for episode 1, and then we can hit the ground running. So, yeah, as usual, thank you to anyone who has voted up the site over at Board Game Links or has commented or given Geek Gold or liked anything over at BGG on the video threads over there. All my followers on Twitter and Facebook and the other one that can't Instagram, that's it. Thank you so much for all the help and support. It really is appreciated. Thank you so much. There we are, introduction and setup out of the way. Next up, it's going to be episode 1. I hope to see you then. But until then, this is me, Catweazle, saying toodaloo.